And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and I am back with another video. This one is a super long video, so I apologize for the length, but in order to talk about every single badge in the game, yeah, unfortunately it needed to be 30 minutes long. So skip ahead if you're looking through any specific badges and what they do. Yeah, it's going to be a long one, but I'm going to go through every single badge in NBA 2K21 My Team and talk about every single one of them and what exactly they do, because they don't make it very clear, so I'm going to bring some new insight to it. If you're looking for next-gen badges, comment down below, and I will do a next-gen video as well, but right now I'm just going to focus on the badges in current-gen My Team. So with that being said, we'll start with our first badge, which is Catch and Shoot. Now, Catch and Shoot, it says it boosts chance of hitting a jump shot immediately after the catch. Basically, it boosts the percentage the receiver of the pass gets in their shooting attributes, essentially meaning you have a higher chance to hit the shot for about 1 to 2 seconds after a pass is caught. Now, if you dribble at all, it negates the effects of the badge. Now, that's important to know. So if you throw it to a streaking person for a dribble up mid-range, you are going to lose that catch and shoot boost. And I believe it is a 5% chance boost per level of the badge. So it's like a 5% boost with bronze, 10, 15, 20. Does that make sense? There's no specific numbers on a lot of these badges as far as the percentages go. 2K would never really reveal the percentages. So let's go over to Corner Specialist. Corner Specialist is our next one. This gives a boost to shots taken near the corner. Now, this doesn't have to come off a catch and shoot situation, similar to like catch and shoot, obviously, and you can stack these two badges together. But they needed to be a 3-point in the corner, or they need to be a mid-range, like a deeper mid-range in the corner. And they have to be in one specific area, so that corner hot zone that you see, that is where the Corner Specialist badge will be triggered, in that corner mid-range. Now, it can't be too far off to the left or too close to the basket. The badge will not trigger in that scenario. So that's kind of one of those things you need to look at. So if you're a person that shoots and plays a lot of 5-out and stuff like that, obviously Corner Specialist is going to be a very important badge for you. Difficult Shots. Difficult Shots is essentially, it improves the ability to shoot difficult shots off the dribble. Shots similar to like off of hop steps, spins, step backs, pull-ups, runners, and leaners. So difficult shots was an incredibly important badge early on and in next gen. In next gen, it's a very important badge because you can once again shoot a lot of moving jump shots with the shot aiming stick. Coupling difficult shots with any of the aiming badges like sniper and things like that are incredibly overpowered in next gen. In current gen, difficult shots is a very important badge because it makes cards like DeMar DeRozan and various point guards and things like that that don't really have a great 3-point rating. It allows them to open it up by shooting moving mid-ranges and making them a little bit more dangerous from outside of the paint, opening it up for your offense. So it's kind of an important badge. It's not a do or die. You know, you're not going to die if you don't have difficult shots, but at the same time, like, it's a very important badge. Nonetheless, it allows you to shoot moving jumpers at a higher clip. If you don't have that badge, they won't go in. Acrobat. So this boosts the ability to hit high degree of difficult layups, essentially like layups off the spin, half spin, hop step, Euro step, cradles, reverse layups, and changing your shot into a layup mid-air, essentially. Those percentages not only get a better boost, you'll notice that the green window is larger, and you know the window in general is bigger as well on those shots than they would be if you do not have the Acrobat badge. Basically meaning if you're trying any layups with a high degree of difficulty, like the ones I mentioned, it's going to be better if you have those. Teardropper. Teardropper is kind of an interesting one. It's not really crazy important. It just allows you to hit floaters and runners, so using someone like Steph Curry or a player of that caliber that relies on floaters and things like that. Dame Lillard is another guy who does floaters pretty often. Floaters aren't really viable in 2K21, at least in my team as of right now, just the way the game currently is. Until they patch it, I would avoid those, to be completely honest. So Relentless Finisher. So Relentless Finisher is one that often gets miscategorized. It basically just reduces the fatigue from continuously rim running. So, and taking contact specifically. So if you're somebody who rim runs a lot, especially on current gen, Relentless Finisher is going to be incredibly important because it's going to reduce the amount of fatigue your player gets by constantly driving towards the basket. In addition to that, it also does boost the percentages that layups will go in, and it does actually help with dunk animation triggering as well. So having someone with like gold or Hall of Fame Relentless Finisher, they're going to trigger dunks and layups easier. Post spin technician. Yeah, I mean, it improves the ability to post spin or drive to work. So if you're somebody who likes to speed boost with centers, this is kind of an important badge. In addition to this, if you do a lot of, so if you double tap the X button or the square button while driving to the hole with any like a point guard or anything like that, you'll do a spin move that you can transfer into a layup or a dunk. If you notice this year, a lot of that has been nerfed, so you get to the point where you'll lose the ball a lot. Now, if you have post spin technician on that card and you tap left trigger to engage, post play, while doing that spin move, the post spin technician badge will actually trigger and you will not lose the ball like you would normally. In addition to that, you have a way higher chance of actually making those shots. So that's, it's a cheesy thing to do and it's a very hard thing to time, but it is something that obviously the badge isn't going to tell you that it does. So it's something that's nice to know. All in all, though, post spin technician isn't really incredibly important badge, but if you're cheesy like that, put it on there. Drop stepper. Yeah, it's kind of there, I guess. It just improves the ability to use drop steps in the post. Next gen post play works really well. Current gen post play is a far cry from what it has been in previous years, and a lot of the times it doesn't even work. So if you're somebody who scores out of the post a lot, some of these badges are going to be very helpful, but it's not something I would go after personally, just with the way the meta is this year. I try not to encourage meta, but sometimes, Putback Boss. Okay, so Putback Boss is a very interesting badge. It increases the shot percentage when attempting a putback after an offensive rebound. Offensive rebound, not really the most common thing in the world, but so the reason this thing is if you have somebody like a DeAndre Jordan who will get putback dunks a lot, Putback Boss isn't really going to help too much because he's going to boom that regardless. But where this really shines is when you get a rebound and you put up like a weird fadeaway, almost close shot or layup. And you'll notice without this badge, they'll never make that. But with that badge, they will actually make that annoying shot. Ankle breaker. So ankle breaker is pretty self-explanatory, to be completely honest. It basically improves the likelihood of freezing or dropping a defender during dribble moves. When performing step backs and other certain moves, the defender will fall back and hold his ankle, obviously he got his ankle broken. It just increases that animation's likelihood. And if that person doesn't have on next gen ankle braces and on current gen, I don't think there's anything to really stop the ankle breaker animation on current gen, actually. I'll have to look into that. I'm not really sure. But either way, having a high ankle breaker badge will cause that animation to occur on guys with low perimeter defense ratings and low clamps and stuff like that. Not really crazy important, but if you're a dribbler, obviously. Flashy passer just gives an additional boost to the player's takeover meter after completing an assist with a flashy pass. I am not somebody who does flashy passes. The pass in question has to be an assist. Break starter. So break starter is pretty important. Basically, when you grab a defensive rebound and you go to start the break, you have about a half of a second window from when you grab that rebound to make the outlet pass. And if you make it in that small window of time, you get a boost to the pass's accuracy. So, for instance, Joakim Noah has this badge. If he grabs the rebound and you have a streaking Monte Ellis running down the floor, if you don't throw the pass within the trigger window, the pass will probably fly directly over his head and go out of bounds. If you do, it'll go right to him. So it's kind of a weird hit or miss badge. Lob City Finisher basically just allows you to catch oops. If you don't have this badge, catching dunk oops is still about the same. But if you notice, when you get the pass and they'll, instead of dunking it, they'll throw up this weird layup thing that happens, especially when there's contests occurring. Having Lob City Finisher will A, allow you to make those, and B, make it so that doesn't happen as often. Same with Lob City Passer. If the person throwing the Alleyoop is, has this badge, it'll cause the oop to be placed correctly, allowing for an easier dunk or an easier layup to the person that is receiving the ball. If you run a lot of alley-oops, they're an important badge to have, but I'm not one who runs a lot of these, so these badges aren't as important to me, and I end up just selling them 90% of the time. But if you're someone who throws a lot of oops, especially in like TTO, having these badges is pretty important. Dimer. Now, Dimer obviously boosts the shot percentages of open teammates on jump shots after catching passes. Now, once again, just like catch and shoot, for this to actually work, it needs to be in the half-court offense. This badge does not work on fast breaks. It will not trigger. That is actually pretty important to note. In addition, the Dimer badge does not work if the person is contested above 25%. Keep that in mind as well. They have to be basically wide open, essentially. Pickpocket just allows easier theft of the ball. Now, the best way I can describe Pickpocket, because it is kind of an important ball, it does allow steals, but at the same time, it basically just negates unpluckable. Like, that's basically what it does. Obviously, if you have Pickpocket and the person has no dribbling badges, you're going to swipe the ball super easy, but another important thing that this badge does is it negates the effects of unpluckable, allowing you to steal the ball. If you try to steal the ball with no Pickpocket on someone with unpluckable, very low percent you're going to even get that done unless it's like a bump steal and it's on accident. But if you have Pickpocket, you'll get it a lot. And coupling Pickpocket with somebody with a high on-ball steal tendency and playing off-ball defense, the CPU will swipe the ball pretty frequently. Rim Protector basically just ups the chance that you're going to block any shot. Just gives a boost to blocks, and in addition to that, when you do actually get a block, it will boost the takeover, and it also unlocks special block animations. Like, you'll notice sometimes you'll run up and you'll grab the ball, and instead of blocking it, you'll just straight steal it out of midair. That's something that only occurs with gold Rim Protector or above. Pick Dodger. Pick Dodger is interesting. Basically just improves the off-ball CPU to navigate through screens effectively on defense. Also, if you are controlling them, you'll get around screens easier, but you won't notice a huge difference whether you have Pick Dodger or you don't if you're playing on-ball defense around a screen. But your CPU defender will be able to get around it a lot easier. So that's kind of something that to keep in mind, especially if you have somebody with like a very high pass intercept tendency and things like that. You want to play off-ball with those guys, so giving them a badge that allows them to operate better is going to be pretty key. Chase down artist. So it raises the chances of getting a chase down block. Basically, it boosts the speed and leaping ability of a player when he is chasing down an offensive player for a block attempt. Now, this doesn't work 100% well in the half court. So if somebody drives to the hole on like a Hawks freelance and you chase after him, a lot of times it won't trigger just because that's how 2K is, but it will trigger 100% of the time on a fast break attempt. That is when this badge comes into play the most. So box. Basically improves the player's ability to box out opponents essentially for rebounds. It boosts their strength. So when they're actually boxing out for a rebound, their strength is boosted. So even if you have like a smaller player who has gold box against a larger player that does not have like Rebound Chaser or any of those other worm, you'll be able to actually hold them off. Clamps is clamps. Basically, defenders have access to quicker cutoff moves and are more successful when bumping or hip riding against opposing ball handlers, especially in an off-ball scenario. If you have a guy with gold clamps out there versus a guy with silver quick first step or even gold quick first step, it negates the effects. Still not worth the price, though. Defensive leader. Boosts the defensive abilities of teammates when in the game on the court. So it actually boosts all of them up. At the Hall of Fame level, you can actually see potential shot percentages of opposing players, too. So if you have Hall of Fame defensive leader, you can actually see how likely the opposing player is to make that shot. So he might be 54%. You can actually see that. that is super clutch. We don't really have too many players that have it. I don't think there is anyone that has. Is there anyone that has Hall of Fame defensive leader right now that's not like applied by a person? I'm not sure. Important to note that this doesn't stack. But, so let's say I have Draymond Green out there. He has gold defensive leader. He doesn't get the defensive boost, but if I have someone else with silver, he does. Heart Crusher. So it decreases opponents' takeover meters when achieving a highlight play on defense. After successfully blocking or stealing the ball from an opponent, an additional penalty is actually given to the opposing player's takeoff meters. So you can actually give them cold and decrease their takeoff meter by doing that. Takeover meter by doing that. I mean, pretty important badge. It's not worth what it's going for. Especially the bronze version going for over 10K. It's not worth it, but it is what it is. Interceptor. Interceptor increases the chance of getting steals in passing lanes. The frequency of successfully tipped or intercepted passes basically greatly increases. So this works better, obviously, for off-ball defense guys. This will allow them to jump the passing read, especially when your guy's playing. But playing on-ball defense, when you go to jump the read, it basically makes it so your guy will kind of animate and fly forward and steal the ball a lot more often. So that's something that definitely important for sure. If you're not really great at jumping reads, it's not really the biggest deal in the world to have Interceptor. So Intimidator basically means that you're going to decrease the percentage that players make shots if you're within a certain hitbox, basically. Offensive players have less success shooting contested shots. Also boosts shot defense ratings when tightly guarding an opponent. So like I said, when you're in that actual hitbox, it will decrease A, the percentage that they're going to shoot, and B, it ups the contest rate, and C, it actually increases your perimeter defense or your block or something like that as well. So, I mean, this badge is expensive for a reason. It's one of the best defensive badges in the game. The only thing that negates Intimidator in the game is Steady Shooter. And a lot of people don't like Steady Shooter. Lightning Reflexes. So this badge mainly is for off-ball defending. It basically means that the CPU is going to react earlier to anything that's occurring. There's the read and react system that 2K uses. Basically just gives them an advantage to read when the ball handler is going to pass the ball or something else or make a move. It just allows the defense to get in a position better. This is actually a really important badge, especially for defensive players. Offball Pest. This is one of those badges that's another off-ball badge. It improves the player's ability to bump and harass the offense off the ball. So basically when you're running an off-ball defender who is guarding off-ball, basically it makes it harder for players to get past them on defense or on offense, especially when we're running plays and stuff like that. They can also grab and hold their matchup, trap them in the corner, and they don't get their ankles broken as often as well by off-ball, I don't know, not dribble moves, but off-ball juke moves. I don't know. Rebound Chaser improves the ability to chase down rebounds. Simple enough. Basically allows the player, especially off-ball, to engage in rebounding animations a lot easier. It will also stop your player from doing that thing where they just kind of slap the ball and they don't grab it. It stops that at higher levels. And once you get up to Hall of Fame level, especially when takeover is engaged, you will see where the actual ball is going to land prior to it bouncing off the rim, so that's helpful. Pogo Stick. Basically allows you to jump multiple times for blocks and not get tired. It just makes it faster for you to do so. So if you have bronze, you can go up, but there's a second, a split second delay. Silver lowers that, gold, Hall of Fame lower it even more. So you can basically just jump to your heart's content. Post move lockdown. So this improves the defender's ability to defend post moves. This just makes post moves ineffective, but post moves are already kind of ineffective in current gen as it is, so it's does it really matter? Not really. This badge isn't really incredibly important, in my opinion. But if you don't have it, they will make post moves. Tireless Defender just reduces energy lost exerting effort on defense, meaning basically allows you to play more aggressively on defense without losing energy at the same rate as a normal player. Basically meaning that you can go a little bit harder on defense and you don't have to worry about them getting Gatorade symbol. Because if you, especially when you're dealing with like guys with certain offensive badges, they'll actually drain your energy. So having that badge is important. Trapper. Basically, when you trap offensive players, defenders are more effective at forcing like pickups and turnovers than normal. If you run a lot of half-court press or like half-court press, half-court trap, stuff like that, this badge comes into play a lot more. It will come into play too if you kind of secure a guy in the corner. Trapper does activate as well. So if you have somebody who has like corner specialist and they're sitting there and you get them trapped, it can actually trigger the badge occasionally as well. So, I mean, pretty decent badge, I guess. It's not incredibly important though. Worm. This badge negates box. Just allows you to get out of box outs a lot easier. I mean, if you're controlling the actual rebounder yourself, you can do like swim moves easier, and gets you into successful rebound position a lot better. Once again, not an incredibly important badge, but if you're someone who shoots a lot of threes, having a couple of guys with worm and box out down low and rebound chaser is almost imperative. So, because 2K is unforgiving when it comes to whites this year. Backdown Punisher. Once again, allows you to back down the opponent. If you've ever tried to back down the CPU and they're just not having it, chances are your guy doesn't have a high enough tier of Backdown Punisher. Like, legitimately. That's probably what it is. There's not really too much going on with that badge. It does what it does. CrossKey Score. Boost shot percentages for layups going across the middle. Basically boost the ability to make running hooks, layups, and close range pull-ups while driving across the paint. So coupling this with difficult shots, you can get them both to trigger at the same time. Well, not exactly at the same time. Now, if you go, like, let's say you have difficult shots, you step into the paint at all, it doesn't trigger. But if you have cross key, it will. That makes sense. Deep hooks, yeah, I mean, you can shoot deep hook shots. Not incredibly effective. We don't really have any big men that can do this anyway, even with the badge in play. So, pick and roller. I mean, basically gives you a shot boost when you're coming off a pick and roll. It also is applied to layup and dunk attempts too. It lasts for about 2 seconds total after you catch the pass off of a roll. So, I mean, it's a nice badge to have, but it's not something you go out of your way to give to someone, if that makes sense, you know? Fast break finisher gives an additional boost to a player's takeover meter when successfully dunking on a fast break. Now, this does not work for layups. This does not work for shots. It only works for dunks. That's the only time you'll get this to trigger. So, if you put fast break finisher on someone like Ricky Rubio, this badge does absolutely fucking nothing, basically, is what I'm trying to say. In theory, it should, but it seems to only trigger on dunks from what I can understand. So, Giant Slayer. This is one of the probably most slept on badges in the entire game. It heightens the effectiveness of layups over taller defenders. So what it does is it boosts the shot percentage for a layup attempt or dunk attempt, by the way, I want to put that out, when mismatched against a taller defender, and reduces the possibility of getting blocked. Thing is, the badge is kind of glitched. Obviously, as you know from playing current gen, rim running is absolutely unstoppable. And if you have Giant Slayer, it is extremely low that you will get stopped by a defensive big. Now, they can still block the shot, especially in like TTO when you're doing a lot more flashy dunks, because flashy dunks don't trigger with Giant Slayer. But when you're doing layups, they're damn near impossible to block. Couple that with Pro Touch, which basically just extends the green window and allows you to hit more slightly left, slightly right, slightly, early, slightly late layups. And you pretty much can't be stopped while driving to the rim if you have those two badges. Even if you run into someone with like the correct offensive badges, it's almost impossible to stop, especially in my team, especially when you're running like a spread offense, like a 5-on-5 or a 5-out. Dude, there's not much they can do. It's pretty fucked up. Thankfully, it seems to be fixed in next gen. So, Showtime. Boost takeover meters after completing a highlight play. So it basically just gives you additional boost to a player's takeover meter, and all your teammates when you successfully complete an and one or flashy dunk. Those are the only times that it triggers. So once again, putting it on someone like Ricky Rubio or someone with a low dunk tendency does absolutely nothing. It has to be an and one or a flashy dunk. So It's important to look at someone's flashy dunk tendency before applying this badge, because if they have like a 5 flashy dunk tendency and like not a good driving dunk tendency in the first place, applying this badge will do absolutely nothing essentially. So definitely something to think about. Slithery finisher. This just improves a player's ability to avoid contact when attacking the rim. Basically, in conjunction with the other layup badges I was talking about earlier, you can pretty much go to the rim and avoid contact altogether. Basically, this just negates some of the contact badges on defense from working. Bailout. So when you drive up for a layup or go up for a shot and you decide, I don't want this, and you throw it out, and then you throw it 10 feet over the guy's head out of bounds, this badge stops that. It allows you just to throw it and it'll go to the nearest player pretty well. So, honestly, kind of an important badge, especially for someone like me who tries to pump fake online even though I know I can't, and realizes that I'm going to shoot some ugly shot and tries to abandon it. Downhill. So downhill is kind of an interesting badge. It's not really like a crazy good badge or anything, but it just increases overall speed with the ball in transition. So if you run a lot of fast break, it gives a bonus based on +1, +2, +3, or +4 onto any player on the fast break that has it. Dream shake, I mean, shot attempts following post moves and shot fakes have an increased shot percentage. So if you do a lot of post moves, dream shake, it doesn't tell you that it actually just boosts post move shots, but it does. So, wow, gold dream shake at 22,000. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go sell a couple of those if I have them. I don't think I do though. Handles for days. Basically, takes less energy to do consecutive dribble moves. So you can chain together combos and stuff like that. So needle threader. Needle threader, basically when you're passing through a tight window to a cutting player or somebody who's breaking through off of a screen or through a play, a boost is given to that player's passing ability, meaning that it will be harder for the defense to actually jump the passing lane and steal the ball. That's what it does. Pass fake maestro, I mean, pass fakes become quicker, easier to do, and the defense will bite on them more. That's what that does. Now, if you do a lot of pass fakes, cool. If you don't, yeah, I mean, whatever. Quick first step. So when driving out of a triple threat or size up, or in general when you're driving to the basket, that's something it doesn't say, but it does. Ball handlers have access to quicker and more effective launches. Basically allows you to speed boost past anyone. Now, obviously, the only badge that stops this is clamps, but I will say on next gen, it does seem to be nerfed out a little bit. You don't get quite the blow-by animation that you do on current gen. On current gen, this also triggers a blow-by animation, allowing the defender to just be fucked. Space Creator. When performing any step back, move, or shot, there's a higher chance of basically successfully creating separation from the opponent. Now, here's the thing this badge doesn't tell you that it does. So, off ball, if you, let's say, hypothetically, you're up with the point guard and you're running 5 out and you have 2 guys on the corners, you notice how the CPU defender will just randomly start sinking off of one of your shooters for no reason whatsoever when they're in the corner, even though they have like 48 points. Space Creator does that. Space Creator, for whatever reason, causes the CPU defender to just decide he doesn't feel like playing defense anymore and gives them more space. Stop and go allows the ball handler basically to stop. It allows you to quick stop. Allows you to stop, go, stop, go. It also gives you a boost on shooting if you stop immediately and then shoot the ball. I don't know why, but it does. That's what it does. I don't really understand it. Tight handles basically allows you to break down the defender with dribble moves. Comboed with like handles for days and stuff like that, it'll let you chain together better, faster, longer, and more efficient dribble move combos. If you're a dribbler, it's a no-brainer. Clutch Shooter. Now, Clutch Shooter is kind of a weird badge because like it's really effective, but only works in a weird spot. So shot attempts that occur during the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter or any overtime period receive a large boost. Now, if you have someone with like Hall of Fame clutch shooter, it doesn't specify how much of a boost you're getting. But with the last 2 minutes and overtime, you're going to be killing it. So deadeye, it basically just lowers the contest rate for an opposing defending player and boosts the amount that you're going to make contested shots. So deadeye is probably one of the most important shooting badges in the game. It affects both mid-range and three-point shots. Does not affect close to the basket shots whatsoever, even if it is a jump shot. But the contest rate's lower. The ability to make whites when contested and green shots when contested is higher. Deep fades just increases the range of which you can do fadeaway shots in post. That's basically it. I mean, like I said, next gen you can still get away with post moves, but current gen post moves just don't really work that well. It's not a badge that I highly recommend having, but if a card has it, you can shoot them if you need to. Flexible release, my favorite badge in the entire game, reduces the penalties suffered from mistimed jump shots. Shot timing penalties are reduced, making it easier to knock down whites. So, Hall of Fame flexible release will boost the white percentage by up to 25%. That's fucking insane. This badge is so slept on. I mean, yeah, as you can see, it is kind of expensive, so people are starting to figure it out now, but I've been hyping this badge since literally the first day of the game. This is the badge. This is why no one could shoot when the game came out, because no one had flexible. Like, legitimately, this is the reason why only Allen Houston and Mitch Richmond could shoot at the beginning of the game, because they had gold flexible. This badge is super important. If you're running a card without flexible, you're going to miss a lot of whites. Green Machine. Not really an incredibly important badge, but I will go over it nonetheless. Increases the bonus given for consecutive excellent releases. So if you shoot a lot of greens, Green Machine is a important badge. Once you hit a green, the green window gets slightly bigger, slightly bigger, slightly bigger, slightly bigger until you miss. So, Hot Zone Hunter. Shots that are taken in hot zones are given a percentage boost to going in. What is the percentage boost? They don't say. But obviously, if you have Gold Hot Zone Hunter and you've shot with anyone with Gold Hot Zone Hunter, you know you make a shit ton of whites, and your greens are easier to hit. So, couple that with like a gold flexible release, and yeah, you're in business. You're doing fine. Hot Start improves the player's shooting ability after the first shot until a miss occurs. Basically, it just gives you a shooting attribute boost until you actually miss a shot. So, once you hit that first shot, you know you get like a +1, and then I don't know where it stops though. That's the thing, because I know you get +1 after every made shot, but it doesn't really specify how long it goes. I'm guessing it goes until like +4, and then 2K just decides you're gonna miss, or you just stay at +4. Ice and Veins. So this actually is kind of interesting. It boosts free throw percentage in the second half of close games or overtime periods. The timing window and the green window both get bigger for free throws. The thing is like, I don't understand how 2K can make a badge that affects like close games, because like, what do they constitute as a close game? I don't know. Pump Fake Maestro, I mean, it just makes pump fakes more effective and allows you to actually, you know, shoot without incurring like a shot percentage penalty. Because if you've noticed, like if you do, you know, shot fakes without this badge, like you'll miss that shot probably 90% of the time afterwards. If you have this badge, you'll make it like a normal amount of time. Range Extender. Alright, so it adds extra distance, obviously, for a player's given shot range from both mid and 3-point shots. Mid doesn't really do anything but 3. So it doesn't specify how far back, but my thing is it basically allows you to move one step backwards, if that makes sense. Like bronze range, you get a step back from the 3-point line. Silver, another step back from that. Gold, a step back from that. And then Hall of Fame, a step back from that, which basically puts you beyond the hash mark, and you can shoot ridiculous rainbow threes from like, you know, almost half court, basically halfway from the end of the hot zone to half court allows you to shoot from. So slippery off ball just allows you to get by off of screens. So if you're running a lot of plays and stuff like that, having guys with gold slippery off ball is really important, because it allows them to navigate past screens and past defenders who have the correct badges to stop off ball. Steady Shooter, I think, is next. Yeah, Steady Shooter. Okay, so Steady Shooter is a very, very misunderstood badge. Steady Shooter number 1 is the only badge that negates Intimidator. Right off the bat, it basically reduces the penalties for contested shots, but it also reduces the bonuses for open shots. So that's something See, it says that you don't receive a open shot bonus, but I honestly believe that it does hinder your open shot ability. They did do a lot better of a job this year. It's not as detrimental as it was last year, but it allows you to shoot over Intimidator guys at an easier clip. Especially against the Hall of Fame CPU, it's incredibly important. Tireless shooter just means that you can shoot when you're fatigued. When you have Gatorade, your shots will go in at a higher clip than they normally will. I mean, nothing really too crazy about it. It's a pretty decent badge. Especially if you're running like a 5-man lineup in Unlimited where you're not using any bench whatsoever. Having everyone have Tireless Shooter is really important because you'll miss a lot of shots when you're fatigued, or so the game says. I've never seen it, but whatever. Floor General. Basically just it boosts the offensive attributes of everyone on the floor with the Floor General player. It's basically the offensive version of Defensive Leader. Now, the same thing goes is it does not stack, so having multiple guys with Floor General is going to do absolutely nothing. But if you have 2 guys, because the guy who actually has Floor General doesn't get the Floor General attributes, so having another guy with Floor General will cover all of your bases, so that's something to, kind of recognize. At the Hall of Fame level, you can actually see your players' percentages from where they're standing before you even throw the pass, so that's kind of important to a certain extent. Though the thing is like it says it does that, but like I have guys with Hall of Fame Floor General. I don't see that. Like it doesn't happen. Maybe I just don't use them enough. Maybe I'll go back and retry them again. Maybe they've changed that, but I haven't seen it. Volume Shooter is actually one of the more important badges in this game as well. That gets basically no love and doesn't get talked about at all. Volume Shooter basically bumps the percentages essentially after a small handful of shots. So an additional boost to shot attributes is given for every subsequent shot, whether it's a make or a miss. Super, super important. The more you shoot with a player, the more he's going to make. That's insanely important. And people do not talk about it. Brick wall, yeah, I mean, it's there. It's better for rebounding and good for screens. It basically just allows you to set better screens, and it actually drains energy from the player when you make contact with them. So having a big man with brick wall actually works really well too, because you get multiple boosts pretty much anytime you touch anybody. But anyways, guys, that's the video. I hope it kind of helped, at least in some way, shape, or form. I tried my best to look into what these badges actually do, but 2K likes to keep it kind of shrouded in mystery for obvious reasons, because half of them do not fucking work or even do what they say they're supposed to do, or have weird secret boosts that you're not supposed to know about. So anyways, I'll be back with a playbook video later today. Tomorrow I'll be back and do videos as well. If you want to see a next-gen version of this, comment down below, and I'll do all the next-gen badges. Other than that, check the description for the Patreon, the Twitch, podcast, Twitter, etc. And I'll be back with new videos every day, so thanks for watching, and I appreciate every single person on this channel.